Perfect. Okay, welcome you guys. I'm so excited. We have such a treat tonight. This is my precious friend, Darcy, and it's really fun that we have her on tonight because earlier in the week, her Diamonds in December video came out, and multiple people were like, oh my word, she's speaking directly to me. And I was like, she's coming on this Sunday. Well, I'm so excited. So this group is our Rise Academy, and it was a group that back in October you had to qualify for. So we've been doing 60 days of really intense training with a weekly jewel or diamond coming on and sharing their story and their tips. So I'm very excited because Darcy, she has an incredible story. She has been with Plexus over 5 years. And when did you join exactly?
I joined September 27th, 2015.
Oh, okay, perfect. That's like just a couple weeks after me. So perfect. That's what I was thinking. We were right on track. We both went diamond the same time, everything. So Darcy, she balanced both working full time and doing her Plexus business, and has really brought such incredible freedom to her family. They now are a full-time RV family. And so she is going to share a little bit about her tips and her tricks on really what it looks like, how she has intentionally grown her network. So Darcy, we'd love to hear.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here. I appreciate you reaching out. And I love this idea of this academy. I might have to pick your brain about it. It sounds amazing. So congrats to all of you for being here and drawing your line in the sand and committing, because that's really the first big step is deciding and believing I'm doing this and I'm all in and I'm going to do it. So I applaud you. So yeah, I am from Maine originally, real small town, 4,000, 5,000 people. I was a Montessori elementary school teacher. I, like so many people, was like, I will never post. I will never tell people I'm on the products. Don't ask me to. We found the products mostly for my daughter. She was 7. She was in my classroom. I was her teacher. I taught first, second, third grade, and she had belly aches all the time and lots of bathroom issues and just was really struggling at 7. We've been to doctor after doctor. They told me nothing was really wrong with her. And I knew something was wrong with her. And so I finally ended up spending money. We were, really struggling financially back then. And I finally paid the money to take her to a local naturopath in our town, which was like a $300 appointment. So it was a really big deal for us. And the naturopath, within 5 minutes, was able to diagnose Nora with candida yeast overgrowth. And I had never heard of this before. Probably some of you can relate. Before Plexus, I didn't know what a microbiome was. I didn't know we had bacteria. I felt really ignorant as a mom, and that it was kind of like I didn't know how to take care of her, right? I didn't know that we had done this to her because she'd been on antibiotics as a baby all the time, ear infection after ear infection after ear infection. And so I felt horrible as a mom that we had the doctor explained, wiped out her intestinal good bacteria, bad bacteria, and yeast was kind of running rampant. So we were on this journey to learning about all of this. And when I saw my friend posting, and I was very skeptical and I watched her for far too long, but I finally reached out because Nora wasn't getting better. And I said, I think your stuff could help my daughter. I think ProBio 5 could help my daughter. She convinced me to go wholesale. My husband struggled with migraines and allergies. I was an exhausted teacher. I lived on sugar. I didn't sleep well. I pooped maybe once a week, you guys. That's so disgusting, I know, but I was so bloated. I didn't need weight loss, and I thought this was all about weight loss. And I, told her I don't need to lose weight. And we ate pretty clean, and I exercised, even though I was hard rock stomach, bloated, exhausted. Yeah. So told her I'd buy wholesale, all this stuff, right? And fell in love with the products, changed my life, healed my daughter. Within 3 weeks, all of Nora's issues went away just being on ProBio 5. So I was amazed with the probiotic. My husband hasn't had but 1 migraine in 5 years, you guys, which is life-changing for him. As an architect, staring at a screen all the time, he used to have to come home from work early, cold washcloth on his eyes. Sometimes he would be puking. His migraines were so bad, and his allergies. And so life-changing for him. And I just felt alive for the first time in my life. Brain fog lifted. I just felt happy at the end of the day to see my kids. I don't know, I had energy like I'd never had before. So even though I told her I would never share, I reached out and I said, we all want to stay on the products the second month in October. We all want to stay on the products. I am so scared out of my mind. I don't do social media. I was Aspire at that time. I just like watched other people's, profiles. I didn't really post. And like I said, I had a small network from a small town, and I didn't believe I could do it. I didn't know what to do, but I knew we wanted to stay on the products. And so she said, let's just find you 3, right? Let's just find you 3 and get you to silver. And that way you can get your products paid for. And so I started out just wanting to do that. Scared out of my mind, put my first post up. And it just was like incredible reach outs from my friends and family of people that I didn't know were silently suffering. And it felt amazing to help them. And I kind of just fell in love with like this purpose of like, I'm helping people. And my first paycheck blew me out of the water, and we were, drowning in debt. All the things, you guys, right? We both had our master's degrees. I had melanoma twice. So all my surgeries of medical debt, was on top of us, and just was a lot. It's a lot. And so I just kind of saw it as this light and this way out. So I also all in. I told her like in January, I am all in. Like, I'm doing this. I will take as long as it takes to get to Emerald and go to Hawaii and have that kind of money coming through, because that's life-changing money for us. So yeah, I know you on the you want me to talk about, or like, she's answering a message, I think.
Sorry.
Can everybody hear me okay?
My internet was going out. What did you ask?
Have you already done a training on expanding your network and growing and all of that stuff?
No, we're going to do that right after.
So, okay. So I went Emerald pretty fast. We were Emerald in like 18, 19 months, I think, which was awesome. And I left my teaching job, and the next year we went Sapphire, and my husband left his architecture job, and we decided to get on the road. It might have been after I went Diamond that we went on the road. But it took me another year to get to Diamond. And I feel like even after I hit Diamond, I still had huge growth to do, personal growth stuff. And so I think along the way, it's very easy to compare yourself to others, to look sideways and think, they're doing it this way, maybe I should do that. They're doing it this way, maybe I should do that. It took me even to Diamond, to really trust myself as a leader, believed I had the skills and the gifts to lead my tribe. And to really believe that, it's just that I had my own gifts, I guess. So I think, part of on this journey is really figuring out, who are you? What are your strengths and what are your gifts? And believing that you're doing it the right way. You are doing it the right way because of you, and your people are on your team because of you. You are the reason, and you have all the right things to give them. It's just believing that you do. So for a long time, I was switching gears all the time, trying to follow what everybody else was doing because I didn't know who I was. So the minute I really settled into, I'm worthy. I'm worthy because I'm worthy. And I have my own gifts, and people are here because of me, things started to fall into place. And so as you're looking at your network and you're growing your network, I think for a long time, I was trying to people please everybody. I wanted everybody. And I call myself a recovering people pleaser, because I was kind of like, I didn't know who I was, and I would morph and try to be what everybody wanted me to be. And I felt so uncomfortable in my own skin because I was always trying to people please everybody else. And when I stopped to recognize, actually, I don't have that much control. I can't control what other people think. I can show up as what I think they want me to be and as what I think is my best self, and they could still walk away thinking whatever they want to think about me. So when I kind of got to this place of recognizing, like, oh, wow, I just have to show up as me, and not everyone will like me, and that's okay. Your tribe will be who's meant to be in your world. So that was a really big thing for me, because I think that stopped me from wavering, and it helped me show up in myself as myself. And then, so then, right, your people are going to be joining you because of who you are, and you find your tribe. And that's really how you're going to grow your network and expand your network, is trusting that the right people are coming to find you and be on your team. So I think the RV world is kind of fun because we've all taken this weird step out of like traditional life, and we're living in this minimalistic RV changer, space every week. Life. Our kids are all homeschooled, so we can relate on that platform. We can relate on just being in this like crazy travel life, living in a tiny camper with your family. So I think what you're looking for in regards to expanding your network is like, who are your people? And you find your people when you know who you are. So as soon as you know who you are and what you love, and you're posting about that stuff and not trying to post to please everybody. So I think, then your people come because they find you and they're like you. So I joined a lot of Facebook groups that were in regards to like Montessori moms, because I parent in a Montessori way. And obviously RV moms, we can relate. So you want to find people who you can really relate to, and like honestly, you're going to want them in your world because they're like you. They share your same life views, world views, values, and it's like real easy to be friends with them. So I think I'm more on a hunt of like, who are my people? Who are my friends? Who would I want to be friends with? Not just friend everybody, friend everybody, friend everybody. It's more like, I want to expand my network, because eventually you do run out of friends and family. And for a long time, I was stuck. I was circling the same people over and over, like following up with the same people. And I kept feeling stuck. And I remember telling my corporate coach, I just don't know people. Like, I can't grow because I don't know any more people. And that was just an excuse. That was a stuck mindset excuse, because there are so many people out there, you guys, so many people out there that need what we have. And so joining Facebook groups to really find people that you want to be friends with. So digging into like, what do I love? Who are the people that I love? And then from those Facebook groups, friending people that are in the groups that you really are like, I like them. Like, I could be their friend, not just everybody and anybody. So I think that's kind of how I've started to grow outside of my friends and family, but also dig really deep into your friends of friends. Like, I had to kind of think about, who are my parents' friends? Who are my brother's friends? Who are my cousin's friends? Like, who are some friends of friends? If I had friends who weren't working the business, like, who are some of their friends? And just, friending them on Facebook, engaging with them. I don't bring up the business for a while. Like, usually people actually come to me after they see my post, like, what are you sharing? What is this stuff? I need it too. So if you've got educational posts and positive and engaging stuff, people will come to you. I don't know what else. Does that kind of help a little bit?
That's fantastic. I actually love like watching your videos where you've got like tips and tricks in the Montessori style of learning. And that is really neat because it speaks directly to your audience. And I love that, how you talk about, you really can't know who you're looking for until you know yourself. That was super good. I love that. Well, thank you. If anybody has like specific questions, you can put them in the chat. But I love all of that. We're going to go a lot more in depth on how do you actually do this, because I think that's a huge thing, is really knowing yourself, knowing the person that you are going after. You can't be all things to everyone. And I think in the beginning, that's how I was as well. I was desperate. I was like, I'll take anybody. But becoming much more confident in who I am and how God's created me, and understanding He's given me passions and skills and talents for a purpose, and to lean into those. And so I love this. Well, I can see you've got your little Christmas necklace on. You've got a team Christmas party on right after. Oh, so cute. Thank you so much for sending. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I think, and belief is a big part of it, you guys, too, because this journey is a test of like you really believing that you are walking in the right path. You know, I think it's I mean, it's a journey. There's ups and downs, and I think for me, just I don't know, reaching out if you're having disbeliefs and leaning on your team and leaning on your leaders, because we're all human and we're going to have ups and downs. But believing that, I mean, people all around you are doing it, you can do it. You're worthy. You have all the gifts. It's just really believing in yourself. And I think, the lives, like I used to do, I have not got to them lately, but Montessori lives, just because it's something that I can speak so naturally about. And I think sometimes we think like, oh, everyone knows that. I just want to share that a little bit. Like I used to think for a long time, like, oh, I shouldn't go live about that. Everyone knows that, but they don't. Not everyone has the knowledge that you have. And even if some people are rewatching it and know it, you're going to touch other people who have no clue about it. So whether you're interested in clean eating or clean products or gardening or canning or like whatever you're interested in, that's also going live, sharing, your knowledge is your people will engage with you that way. They want to hear and watch what you have to say. So don't let your mind fool you that you don't have, stuff to give. People don't know all the things that you know. So trust yourself on that too. Have fun tonight, you guys.
Thank you, Darcy. Have fun tonight.
Oh, I think I'm okay.
Bye.
Bye, friend.
Thank you. All right, friends. I just think the world of her. She is somebody, I actually stood right next to her when we were on stage for the Diamond recognition, and I had never met her. And backstage, I got to know her, and I just thought she was precious. And she's one of those people that is the most genuine, kind-hearted person. And so I love hearing just kind of some of her tips, because it is so true. You really can't know what you're looking for if you don't know yourself. And for me, I remember when I first started thinking, what are the things I even want to post about? I had a really hard time, because I was like, well, basically my life is my children. And so what do I really have outside, my work and my children and my family? And so for me, the last 5 years have actually been a really neat time to begin to identify just what I'm passionate about. And so I know some of you probably already have, your 5 things that you talk about and you post about, but I didn't have that when I started. And so it's been a process for me. Okay, so I'm gonna jump in and share my screen. And get my presentation going. This, today, what we're gonna talk about is finding and growing your community. Like Darcy talked about, this is an area where we are constantly doing this, okay? Because when you first come in, you're gonna have, your immediate friends and family that are there. But after a time, you are following up to the same people over and over and over. So the success, the secret to it is continually on a monthly basis, finding a new community and growing that. We're going to talk about niching down. And I know some people call it niche. I call it niche just because I'm like, that's easier. But we really want to basically, we've got our big umbrella at the top, but we want to go as narrow as possible. We want to niche down. On here, it says like knowing your audience. Your talents, your skills, they are given to you for a purpose. It is so that you can speak to a very, very specific audience. When you are posting, when you are sharing content, and you are trying to just be really broad, it falls on deaf ears. It does not speak to anyone. When you begin to get really specific and you narrow down on exactly who you are talking to, it is going to touch the hearts of the people that are meant to be with you. And what's cool is when you do this, it actually, not just your specific person, but it actually begins to connect with a broader audience. So it's a little bit, it's kind of backwards thinking. You speak to one person and it ends up connecting with a lot. But if you are speaking to a broad audience, it ends up connecting to no one. So you cannot be everything to everyone. So we have to kind of know our lane. We need to be everything to that one person. When you are creating content, a lot of people will just copy paste what other people are doing, kind of what Darcy said. That's exactly what I did. You watch somebody who's successful and you're like, okay, if I do that, then I'll be successful. But that's not how it works, because if I post someone else's content, it's in their voice, it's to their niche down audience, and it doesn't connect to my audience. It doesn't sound like me, and it doesn't, and my people know it. And so it's kind of like throwing spaghetti up on the wall and just hoping that some of it'll stick, but none of it does. Your content, the words that you write, the way that you write, is your number one way that you are going to bring in your income, okay? Your audience, they have to know, they have to feel that you know them, okay? They need to know, and they need to hear and see their story in your words, okay? It's called copyright. And I'll put in our group the book that I have been reading. I believe it's called Success in Copywriting. Copywriting is a huge, huge skill to learn, and I have a long way to go. But really what it is how to connect through your words, through your content to your audience so that they move into action. Okay, building the relationship, all of that, it doesn't have to happen in Messenger, even though it can, but it can be so powerful in the content that you create if it is speaking to that niche down audience. So I have on here, people will buy from you and say yes to you when they feel understood by you, not when they understand you. And this was a huge shift for me personally, because I didn't really understand this in the beginning. I talked about my story, my results, and I did not connect with people because it was all about me. And I thought that's how I would educate people, but not until I learned that I need to be the guide in their story. It's all about them. Every bit of posting and content that I write and create is not for my purpose. It's not to tell my story. It's to connect to them, to hit a pain point in their life, to show them that they have a need and that I have something that can help be an answer for them. So I am less about, I do share my story, but it's now in a way that they can see themselves in my story. So it is a very different way of posting. It's not about posting so that they will understand my story and that just becomes a follower. We want someone to take action, and they do when they feel that I know exactly what they're going through. So this is where we get to our ideal customer. And some of you may have done, some worksheets or gone through an activity to understand your ideal customer. If not, I'm actually going to post one in our group that has some questions and things for you to work through, because this right here is a game changer in your business. The way that I work my business is I share content that goes specifically to connect with my audience, and they reach out to me. Every single person that I have signed has reached out to me. And the way that that has happened is because I have identified exactly who I'm going for, and I write content and give content that speaks directly to them. And then they feel compelled to take action and they reach out. So that doesn't happen unless you know exactly who you are going, who you are reaching towards, and building content that speaks to them. So this is the first step. And you guys, this will be a game changer in your business. Once you can get this nailed down, where every time you make a post, you are thinking about this one person. I went to a workshop that we walked through this. We had to name our ideal customer, okay? We had to literally go through their entire life. I have to know exactly what my ideal customer is doing in this moment. I know everything about her. I have a name. I have everything about her life in my mind, so that when I am sitting down writing content, I'm writing to that person. And a lot of times you're going to find that this person is actually the version of you that started Plexus a few years ago. For me, my ideal customer is me 5 years ago. Now, I actually have a person on my team. I'm not going to name her because I would embarrass her, but I told her this the other day. I was like, every time I post, I think about you, because she is my ideal customer. And she signed up, she joined, she works the business. She's my dream teamer. She's exactly who I envision every time I write any kind of content. So I have a name. Literally, when I sit down and think, I don't think of how is Facebook, all of my friends on Facebook going to read this. I think about that one person. So these are some things that I'm going to have you sit down and think about. What is the name of the person that you are trying to reach? Okay, just a general name. The gender, the age, the marital status, the number and the ages of the kids. Because when you go through this and you know kind of the demographics of who you're trying to reach, first of all, that changes everything in the way that you share, changes everything in your content. If you're trying to reach toddler moms, it's going to be so different than trying to reach parents of teenagers. You're talking about totally different things. And so knowing exactly what their demographics are is going to be huge. So take a screenshot of this if you haven't, because it's going to be part of your homework. We're going to be going through a worksheet of making up our ideal customer. Now, these are then going deeper. Okay, these are questions that you are going to answer about that person. Okay, what level of education, what season of life are they in? You know, are they getting ready to have an empty nest? Or are they getting ready to have a new baby in their home? What social platforms do they use? That's a huge thing. You know, some people, depending on who your ideal client is, maybe they're over on Instagram, maybe they're on Twitter, maybe they're, you know, moving to one of these new platforms, and maybe they're on TikTok. I don't know. But you've got to know that. You've got to know where your ideal client is. And then looking at kind of what are their pain points. Is this someone who maybe they're struggling financially? Is this someone you want to present the business to first? You can have an ideal client for the health products. You can also have an ideal client for the business. Mine tends to blend into one because that was my story. But the reason I share about the business first, and I lead with that, is because my ideal client is someone, they are struggling to make it paycheck to paycheck. And the burden is heavy on their shoulders financially. And so I lead with the business because that is their number one pain point. Other people, maybe your pain point, you know, of your ideal client is pure exhaustion. Maybe that's like they're so exhausted. And maybe it's depression. Maybe it's a mental health or a mood struggle. Knowing what your ideal client's pain point is going to give you the content to create. Okay, so that's why this is so important, is knowing what are they staying up at night worrying about. Are they lonely? Like, do they need community? I really want you to spend some time on this. What are their pain points? Because when you know that, you can then create the content that is going to connect to them. Because if you're writing content, Plexus post or even personal post that is not about their pain point, that's why so many people don't think Plexus is for them, is because we're not targeting that heart connection with them. They don't feel it's for them because you haven't hit on that pain point yet. So what's worrying them? What are their struggles, their fears? What have they tried before? Okay, that's a good one to think about. Like, what is this person, what do you think they've tried before? Have they tried maybe making some extra income by watching other kids, or maybe they have an Etsy shop, or, you know, things like that? What have they tried before? Maybe there's somebody who's tried all the diets. Maybe they've tried everything. What are some objections that they're going to have working with you? Why are they not saying yes? Knowing what their objections are. For my ideal client, it's finances. Finances is the number one objection for my person. And the reason you want to know that is so that you can write about that objection in your content and clear out that objection before they are able to even bring it up. Okay, so that is super, super important, is what is their resistance? What is stopping them? Because then when I can speak to that without them ever even bringing it up, they feel heard, they feel known, they feel that I am a safe place for them. Okay. Yeah, why can't they wait any longer to achieve their goal? So, and that's something to talk about in your content. Okay. If in 6 months you still are in the same space, how are you going to feel about that? That's huge. You know, we have New Year's coming up, and really talking about that pain point of what if there is no action? Your life is going to be in the same place that it is in 6 months. And that can really move people into action, because when you sit here and talk about, this is why it is time to say yes, because you don't want to be here in 6 months. You don't want to have another year of 2020, right? You don't want to have another year like this. So it is time to change now. So these are questions that I'm wanting you to work through, and really spending, I mean, I think it took me a good hour to sit down and really think about, okay, who is my person? Who am I talking to? What do they care about? What is something that scares them? What are their pain points? What are their fears? What are their objections? That, all of this right here is what creates my content. This is what gives me everything I need to write content that is going to move them into action. Okay, so we know our who we're talking to, and if you don't, you're going to have time to spend after this, and you're going to spend this week finding who are you talking to. And this is how, once you have found your ideal client, you have niched down to that person. Now, where do we go and find them? Okay, and this is where the strategy comes in of really using social media as a tool. And social media is a tool. It's not the only way to build our business. We're going to talk about doing the same stuff in person and online, okay? But the first part, this has been a game changer for my, for me to find those like-minded people of my, my audience. Okay, so on social media, whether it's, you know, whatever platform you're on, if you go to an influencer or a large brand that already has your ideal client as their community, you want to be spending a lot of time there. Okay, so, you know, it could be somebody, you know, if you've got like, you know, a mom, kind of a mom who is healthy, you want somebody that's your ideal client, somebody who's health conscious, somebody who's ready to make changes in their life. And nutrition's a big part of it. Maybe that's somebody like you really care about nutrition, you care about a healthy lifestyle. You want other people, your ideal client, to be people who care about nutrition and healthy lifestyle. So then you'd go and you'd find either a brand or a company or an influencer who has a community like that. So you could go to a keto, if you're into keto, you could go to a keto influencer, or a somebody who has a keto cookbook. If it's somebody you want to do like Whole30, you can go follow Whole30. You can do all these things. Whatever your ideal client is, where are they hanging out? What brands are they hanging out with? What content are they consuming? And then you go find them there. So what I want you to do is identify 5 to 10 of these people. It could be people or companies, brands, you get the idea. So I've said this before, Rachel Hollis. Rachel Hollis would go as an influencer. She is somebody who draws a community of moms who are trying to better themselves, right? So think about that, podcasters, authors, people that are going to draw your ideal client, okay? I want you to come up with 5 to 10 names or companies, okay? And I want you to write that down. I want you to get really, really strategic in this, okay? Because you are going to find the people that are going to build your business. You are finding people who are going to run alongside you and hopefully be a lifetime together, working together. This is a business. They are not just going to come to you. You have to go out and find them, okay? So going to these influencers, to these brands, and when they make a post, I want you to go in and look at the comments. Look at who is commenting. I want you to interact and engage in the people's comments. So like if they say something and they ask a question, well, you have an opportunity, since this is your ideal client, you have some knowledge or some interest in this topic, probably, you can go in and answer right underneath that comment and begin to build a conversation with that person. Then you click on their profile. You can then personally message them and be like, hey, I saw that you were commenting over here. I loved your perspective on that. Tell me more or something. You know, you just create a conversation. But that is a gold mine of your ideal client. If you find the right influencers, brands, and companies, you will find a gold mine of your ideal clients. So this is where I want you to spend some time, because it's all that work is already there. It's a pool of ideal clients. You just have to find the right space. So this is how you are then going to find potentials. Okay, so click on some profiles. You go scroll their page. If this is someone that you really truly want to be friends with, someone you could see building a relationship with, then you friend request them, you send them a message, and you just begin building a relationship, okay? So write down those 5 to 10 influencers, large brands, because you are going to be checking them and engaging with them in their comments of their posts multiple times a week. Second is hashtags. I know we talk a lot about hashtags. There is such power. Once you know your niche, once you have figured out your ideal client, hashtags is the way to find those people, okay? 5 to 10 hashtags that your ideal client is using and searching, okay? Not hashtags that you are using and searching, okay? Nobody in my ideal clients, none of them are looking up gut health, okay? None of them are looking up pink drink or boss babe or anything like that. So I do not use those at all. I use the hashtags that my ideal client, who is in a very dark place financially, in a very dark place emotionally, I use the hashtags that they're searching. So I look at debt free. I look at debt-free living. I look at antidepressants. I look at depression support. Those are the hashtags that my ideal client is searching for, okay? That is what I want to be popping up under those hashtags. So when you are looking at your 5 to 10 hashtags, once you've known your ideal client, I want you then to figure out 5 to 10 hashtags that you are going to be searching and using on a weekly basis, okay? So once you have those hashtags, you're then going to just spend some time, like 15 minutes, going in and searching those hashtags. Then you're gonna see what comes up. You're gonna click on profiles. And if it's somebody that fits your ideal client, somebody that you think, this is somebody I want to know, then you follow them or friend request them, and you start a relationship. You start a friendship, a conversation. Never, ever, ever, ever bring up Plexus. Just start an organic conversation. Usually I'll go and I'll like a couple of their photos, and I'll comment on one of them just to kind of get the conversation going. Maybe I'll go to their stories, and if they have some stories, I actually comment on their stories because that goes straight into their messenger. So there's lots of ways. Just don't be creepy. Don't be a creepy person. Just be super like friendly and normal. And these are the people that are like-minded, and you're gonna just want to build a relationship with them. But the thing is, you want to write down the names, okay? You have got your hashtag list, and then I want you writing down the names of the people that are the potentials that you have found through that hashtag list. And we're gonna get to your homework later, but that's what, if you are not keeping a record of the relationships and the connections that you are pursuing, people are gonna fall through the crack. And that's what gives network marketing a bad rap, is when people build a relationship for the sole purpose of a sale. And that is not what we are about, okay? We are trying to connect with people that are like-minded, people that we really, truly want to get to know, regardless of whether they are buying our products at all. So that is where we are coming from. You are coming from a heart position of serving and connecting. But that is very hard to do. People fall through the cracks when you are doing this with maybe 40 people a month. And to be a person of your word, and to be a person who is intentionally pursuing and connecting with people, you have to have a system of keeping up with people, okay? Because I know once I get on my social media, my brain just like, I go blank and I have no idea who I'm talking to. And so if I have it written down, then I'm like, oh yeah, I need to go check in with her. I haven't checked in with her this week. So it's a very purposeful, intentional way of connecting with a very pure intention, okay? The third way is groups, okay? I know 2020, a lot of in-person groups are not happening, but I want to really, social media is a tool. Do not build your business only on social media, okay? Don't be that person that puts all their eggs in one basket and does not connect with people in real life, okay? So I want you to think about both online and offline, some different groups that you can join, okay? I know that right now a lot of things are virtual, so that's one thing, but thinking about, where is your ideal client? Where are they showing up? What are they doing on social media? What are they doing in the community? I want you to go and join these groups, okay? Once you've niched down, you know exactly, where your people are at, you get into these groups and you engage. You build relationships, you ask questions, you answer questions, and you get conversations going. You start by, again, it's the same thing with the hashtags. You're writing down these names of, I really like this person. I went on their profile and I'm like, this person is exactly somebody I would hang out in real life with. I want to get to know them. And that is, you write their name down and you begin building a relationship with them, okay? Remember, again, never about Plexus. You're always leading with the relationship. So this is my example. This is how I have built my entire business, is how I have gone through brands and really larger audiences. I've used that to find my ideal clients. I've used hashtags and I've used groups. And that is how I have built, because when I started, a lot like Darcy, I did not have a large network at all. And social media was not something I personally was using except to post photos of my kids so that the grandparents could see it. I was not posting content at all that would be adding value to people. So when I started, I had to really look at, okay, what are my passions? What is my ideal client? And I came up with kind of the names of, these are the people that I naturally love. Like, these are the authors and the influencers that I personally follow. And so most of their followers are a lot like me. And so these are the people that I routinely follow, not only for my own personal enjoyment, but because their community mirrors my ideal client. So I am very active in the comments of their social media. So if I go to Ann Boskamp and go on her post, and then I'm going to see who is all engaging on her post, because it's the people who are engaging. Those are people, those are like true fans, right? Those are not just followers. People who are engaging and commenting are like sold out fans usually. Those are the people I want in my life. I want people who are showing up. So I then begin commenting and interacting, and then I go follow a couple of the people, and they go on my potentials list because they are somebody I actually really want to connect with. Then I've got my hashtags. These are hashtags I have used. I have multiple business builders from hashtags. Large family life, mom of many. These are ones that where my ideal client, they are using these. This is where I go and I find other moms that are in the exact same season of life, or they're walking through things that my ideal client is walking through. So these are the hashtags that I personally use on my posts, and then these are the hashtags that I go and search for potentials. And then these are the groups that I've got several business builders that have come out of these groups right here. So we've adopted 3 children from China. So instead of just doing adoption groups, I actually niche down to China adoption. And that's been huge for me, is to actually niche down to that specific country. I have very specific groups even of special needs. So like I'm in a adoptive families from China spina bifida group because I have a son with spina bifida. So get really, really specific. These are the groups that I have been in, and that I have had wholesalers come out of all of these, and I've built relationships with people that have become precious friends of mine, and they will be lifelong friends. Then the 2 in-person groups that have been huge for me is my church adoption and foster ministries, and then families with autism small group. So thinking about not only online, but also in person, where can you show up and connect? So I hope that gives you just kind of a good example. This is how I have built my entire business, is on that little page right there. Okay, so your action steps for the week is to identify your ideal client. I will give you a worksheet in the homework where I'm going to post a homework with all, just laying this all out for you. But you're going to come up with your ideal client. If you've done this before, great. I think it's really important to always dig deeper, okay? Because if you've done it a year ago, I want you now to think about your ideal client at the end of 2020. What has changed for them? What are they walking through? I want you to always revisit this on an annual basis, because circumstances change, life changes. So it's really, really important to do that. So we're going to walk through really spending this next week really niching down who is the person you are talking to. Give them a name. I mean, literally, like I've seen people where they have actually like printed out a photo and kept it next to their computer. So when they write, when they post, they are speaking to one person. And you guys, that actually, like, I think takes the fear away of what's everybody gonna think. When you're speaking to one person, it lets everything else fall to the side, because you're not trying to speak to everyone. So it's okay if they don't get it. So that's one of the exercises we're going to do this week. Then the second part is finding your influencers, your hashtags, and your groups. Okay. So I really want you to do some market research. This is your business. Okay. This isn't just, we're not just showing up and having fun, just making posts, because your time is valuable. And if you are posting content that is not connecting and reaching people, then I feel like so much of your precious time is not being utilized. I want you to be able to work smart, not work more, okay? So taking some time to actually do the market research and know where your people are at so that you can find them and they can find you, that is going to mean, I mean, like, that's residual income. Because if you take the time now, a year from now, people are still going to be finding you if you've done the work. So it's so, so, so important. You can have the best content in the world, guys, but if the people that you're speaking to are not around to see it, it's going to be void. So I want you to have amazing content, and I want the right people to see it. Okay, so we had already done content creation. That was my training a few weeks ago. You're going to make great content, but are the right people seeing it? And if you do the market research of finding that your ideal client, that community that a brand or an organization or an influencer or an author or podcaster has already built, if you're using hashtags and you're using groups and actually using them, then you are going to find the people that is going to respond to your content, okay? So that's going to be your second part, is writing down the 5 to 10 influencers, the 5 to 10 hashtags, and the 3 to 5 groups that you are going to actively be a part of. And I will tell you that I get into kind of cycles with this, okay? So my groups, I have some core groups, but I also cycle through groups every couple months, okay? So I pour all of my time and effort into these 3 to 5 groups this month, build the relationships. You kind of see the cream rise to the top. You know who is going to be your people, who your ideal clients are. You're going to connect with them, and then you're going to go outside, and hopefully through that month, you're going to have friend requested and built a friendship in your messenger. So after a month, you're going to have your potentials. You're going to have their names written down. You're going to be following up and caring for them. Then you can move to a new group, okay? If that group is still bringing in potentials on a consistent basis, then great. But also know the same thing with hashtags. It's okay to cycle through hashtags. It's okay to have hashtags in groups. So maybe one of your pillars is marriage. Have a group of hashtags for your ideal client. It has to do with marriage. Maybe you have, different groups that you are going to post about. So, one of mine is adoption. One of mine is special needs. One of mine is marriage. One of mine is ministry. So I have a pastor's wife. I have a whole hashtag group for that. So know that this is the start, and then you're going to get into it, and you're going to cycle through some. You're going to add groups of them as you go. The third one is systematically engage. So what I see a lot of people do is they find their groups, they find their hashtags, and then they join the groups, and they have their list of hashtags and they use them, but they never systematically engage and use these tools. So what I am wanting you to do is to keep track of all of this, okay? Whether I personally use an Excel spreadsheet. If you want, I have an Excel spreadsheet that actually lays all of this out. I'll send you a link actually in our homework. You can do it on notes in your phone. You can do it on, keep a notebook. Wherever it is, you just have to have a system, or people are going to fall through the crack. And so keeping 10 to 20 names every week of potentials that you are building a relationship with. Because I feel like I said, like the people who are going to connect with you, they're really going to connect with you. And then the rest are going to kind of fall away. So if you have maybe 20 potentials that you are connecting with, you're commenting, you're engaging with them, a couple people are going to reciprocate. And those are the people you're going to continue building a relationship with. The people who are not reciprocating, that's okay. They're not your people. So 10 to 20 people every week. And the way that you're finding them is through these influencers, these groups, and these hashtags. And so keeping a list of who you are actively, intentionally building a connection with. Yeah, and then I take notes on the things that we talk about because, like I said, I value when people remember things that we have talked about. I value people who remember my name after one meeting. I think that speaks a lot about people. You want to be the same for them. And when you have a lot of people that you are intentionally pouring into, it's hard to remember all those things. So taking notes of maybe they have a daughter that's getting married, or maybe they've been walking through a big struggle. Maybe they lost their business, or they're walking through a health crisis. Keeping notes so that the next time you check in with them or follow up with them, you can ask about that. It means the world to me. And it's when somebody does that, when they remember what's going on in my life. And so we want to be that for them. Track everything. Because when you track everything, you will see a progression. You will see people don't just show up in my inbox and say, hey, I want to buy Plexus. Okay. I mean, I wish they did, but they don't. The reason that they eventually start the conversation of Plexus is because I have intentionally been pursuing a relationship because I care about them, because I truly want to get to know them. And they know that I care about them, whether or not, like, I'm not pushing a sale down their throat. And they eventually, almost all of them, have brought up Plexus to me. And if it's a right fit for them, then they get on it. And if it's not, that's okay. But that's what I want you guys to do, is I want you to be the person who is seeking out your ideal client, the person you know that you were meant to speak into, to serve. And through that, when you are serving and adding value and caring for them, they are going to feel seen and heard and valued, and they will take the step. They will move into action because you are a trusted person. People don't buy for advertisements like they do when they have a personal relationship with someone. So we know that so much of people's struggles, whether they are struggling with finances or health or mental health or feeling alone and they just really need community, we know that Plexus has everything to offer someone. So this is not a gimmicky way to try to make a sale. Because when we truly care about someone, we've niched down, we know their pain points, you guys, we have something that helps them. We're not giving them we're not selling to them something that they don't need. So that's the difference, is we're not here to make a buck. We are here because we know what they are struggling with, and we know that we have something that will support that and help them.